Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our disaster preparedness speech that we try to do every year. Unfortunately, we didn't get to it last year. We were kind of a little bit busy with something called COVID. Anybody remember that? Yeah. Seems like it was just yesterday we were all wearing masks, wasn't it? Does anybody miss them? Raise your hand. Yeah, we got one in the crowd that had to put one on. I see how that is. I'm glad you're joining us today. This is the first time we broadcast it live on 1390, so this is a good thing for today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's talk a little bit about what is a disaster. And Michelle is our producer, director, and everything else today, and she's getting everything going here where everybody can see it. It's there. Okay. So what is a disaster? A disaster is defined as a sudden event, such as an accident or a natural catastrophic event that causes great damage or loss of life. What type of disasters can we see here at River Landing? Do we get heavy rain here? Quite a bit. And, of course, here lately, we haven't got that much. It's about time for us to have some. Somebody was telling me the grass is starting to crunch under their feet out there. Flooding. Do we get flooding around here? We do, occasionally at lower lying places. Tornado. This is one that's big. Do we see tornadoes in our area? We do. A few years back, we had one touchdown not too far from here, just across I-40 at a truck yard over there, and tore up some things. We had some wind damage here, a little hail damage, but nothing like what they got. Good Lord took care of us on that one. Hurricane. We're not close to the coast, are we? You're right. We do get them. We get hurricane force winds quite a bit during hurricane season. So these are all things that we see here that usually come with this biggie right here, a power outage. Power outage affects us quite a bit. However, in our main buildings and our apartment buildings, we have backup generators. Now, the individual cottages do not. So in the event of a power outage, if it's a prolonged period of time, we're going to go into emergency mode, and we're going to turn this room here that we're all sitting in today into a sleeping area. We're going to set cots up. We have friends that have offered to allow friends to stay with each other and things like that. So if you live outside, get to know somebody inside real good and see if you can buddy up with them during a power outage if it goes on for a prolonged period of time. Ice. Do we get ice around here? Ice is more prevalent than snow or anything else around here for us. I've grown up here all my life. I'm used to it. But, the folks that are moving here from up north, they tell me that, snow's nothing to drive in. But when we get ice around here, it's time to just stay home. You know what? I agree with you 100%. Somebody's lived here all their life. I don't like to play with ice. Snow, we get snow, but notoriously down here, we don't know how to drive in it. I'll be the first one to admit. Everybody thinks if you got a four-wheel drive, you can go 80 miles an hour in the snow. Well, you can't. So we need to be watching out for these type of things. So we communicate with you when we have a natural disaster. And how do we communicate? We utilize a phone tree system. How many have ever got a call from our phone tree system that says this is an important message from River Landing? We try to send them out any time that we have a disaster or any type of weather alert or any type of event that we need to let you know quickly about. There's a few of us who can actually do this from our home, so anytime, day or night, we can put it out if we need to. When a severe watch is issued for severe weather, emergencies or disasters that may affect River Landing, we will activate that phone tree system for notification. In the event of a watch is updated to a warning, we may not have significant amount of time to let you know any further because that can flip, as a switch real quickly. So just be mindful. If you get notification of a watch, just go ahead and be listening to your TV, your weather radio, or your regular radio if anybody still has a regular radio, and be listening for the updates. If you're getting the phone calls from our phone tree system and you want it to call an alternate number like your cell phone or something of that nature, let me know. Just call and leave me a voicemail and with the number and everything, and we'll get that added to it in your profile. I can put up to, I think it's 3 numbers in that profile to contact you. you're receiving information in your house mailbox in which is part of updating your contact information. We're going to be sending you a form out that will update your phone number, your address, your emergency contacts, things of that nature, so we can make sure we've got the right of everything in our system. Any questions on that? Okay. Other ways you're going to be you can receive alerts. A NOAA weather radio is a very good investment. They're less than $30. You can put them in your window, you can put them on your counter, and they will pick up really good. What this will do is give you a high-pitch alert whenever there is a weather event getting ready to happen, and you will get the same information that we get from NOAA on that radio. And my mom actually has one, and she's hard of hearing, and there is an adapter that you can put on it that will make the alert louder as well as the voice louder. So, local and TV and radio stations. Our local stations here are Channel 2, Channel 12, Channel 8. On your cable, they're Channel 9, 10, and 11, I believe it is, on cable. But they're Fox 8, WXI Channel 12, and WFMY Channel 2. Those are our main local stations. They have very good weather on those. They watch the alerts, and they do very good tracking. I actually personally watch Channel 12, even though I live in Guilford County. They give some really good updates. I'm not plugging them, but that's who I personally watch. They've got a really good system to show. Also, Guilford County, that's where we are. We are in Guilford County. They have an alert system you can sign up for to get alerts through your email, your telephone, your cell phone, and text messaging. It's www.readyguilford.org. And I'm going to pause here for a minute in case someone's getting a pencil and paper. Also, all these slides are going to be available in your boxes next week. We will have all these slides in your boxes next week. www.readyguilford.org. Okay, let's talk about a survival kit. There's one young lady I'm going to point out in the room. When I first did this speech 4 years ago, she went right out and bought just about everything in it. That's Miss Faye right here. She come to me and she said, "I got it. Can you get it out of my car?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll get it in for you." You know, we want you to be prepared. And, you know, yes, River Landing is all-inclusive and we're all here and we try to do what we can, but there may be times that you have to be self-sufficient if you're in independent living for a little bit of time. So this is what the National Weather Service and the Red Cross suggest that you have. A minimum you should have for your basic supplies is listed below. Water, 1 gallon per person per day for 3 days. That's a lot of water. But it's definitely good to have when you don't have it. Because I don't know about y'all, but just as soon as the water goes off at the house, I have a well pump. And just as soon as the power goes off, we lose water. First thing I want, a glass of water. So you have to be thinking about that. Food, non-perishable items for 3 day supply. You know, canned foods, meals ready to eat, things of that nature are very good. Some of the things that we got before and showed you, but I didn't bring any this time because it was we just kept wasting them, and I didn't see waste them when everybody knows what a non-perishable item is. But you get some little sous vide tuna meals that has crackers, tuna fish, things like that. They're like $1 a piece up here at Dollar General. You know, those are kind of good things to have. Little things that you don't have to heat up. Somebody asked me one time here if the microwave would work if the power was out. Sorry, it won't work. I hate it. But, you know, think back, you know, I'm young enough to remember when we didn't have microwaves. And, you know, now everybody lives by a microwave. If you can't cook it in a microwave, you can't cook it, most people think. So you gotta be knowledgeable of that. A flashlight, obvious reasons. Power's out, you're going to need to be able to see. You don't need to go buy a $200 rechargeable light unless you just want to. You can go to Dollar General and get one for $1 with 2 batteries. And it'll do the same thing, just not as bright. Batteries or hand-cranked regular radio and regular radio. I know most of us listen to satellite radio now. One thing I want to caution you on, when you're listening to the radio or your TV for these updates, remember to look for your local stations, because you're not going to get the same weather on the Weather Channel that you're going to get on WXII or Channel 8 or Channel 2 because it's more specific for here. Extra batteries for these powered equipment so that you can actually keep it going. Now, you can go out and invest in a battery bank. It's a small generator. It's just a battery, more or less, that will last up to 24 hours. It'll power a little light, power a little radio, that type of thing, charge your phone, charge other instruments you have. They run about $250, somewhere along in there, but they're a good little investment. I have one at my house that we use. It's pretty good. First aid kit, definitely. You know, there could be a time that, you know, you get a little scrape, a bump, bruise, or whatever. And, you know, if we're having bad weather, it's going to be hard for us to get to you, either my EMTs or our nursing staff. It's going to be a little bit tough. So if you got a little something there to go ahead and control the bleed and put a Band-Aid on, you know, during natural disasters, when we call 911, it may be a while before they get here. So we're going to have to rely on ourselves. Medication. A 7-day supply is what's suggested. Everybody takes medications just about. Just make sure you've got enough on hand, you know where they are, and they're easily accessible. Sanitation and personal hygiene items. You know, you always want to be able to brush your teeth. You always want to be able to comb your hair. Of course, if Cindy was here, I'd say you always need to put your lipstick on because she don't go anywhere without lipstick. Funny story about Cindy, and y'all can pick on her about this. She took her mask off one day, and there was a perfect print of lipstick in there. And I just went, why do you even waste the lipstick? Nobody sees it anyway. And she's like, I know it's there. So I guess I don't wear lipstick, so I don't understand. Copies of personal documents, medication list, patient medical information, proof of address, passports, birth certificates, and insurance policies. Let's talk about proof of address. Why would you need a proof of address with you? If you were outside the community and they had to shut it down to local residents only coming up Sandy Ridge Road or something, you could prove that you lived at River Landing and they would let you pass the checkpoint. So that's one of the reasons. Proof of a birth certificate, that's so they know who you are. I mean, that's, you can prove this is me, I was born, and this is me. Insurance policies, always keep those somewhere accessible. You never know when you might have to turn something in on insurance. Your medical information. What I would challenge you to do is the sheet that's on your refrigerator, copy that, put all this in a Ziploc bag, like a 2-gallon or 1-gallon Ziploc bag. Put all your pertinent stuff in there so it's not going to get water damaged. Put it in a place you know where it is so when you have to leave or move out quickly, all you got to do is grab it. Cell phone with chargers. Now, one thing about cell phones, they're not always going to work. Okay? Cell phones are not dependable because they run off of electricity that is at a transfer station, for lack of a better word, cell tower. So if they lose power at that cell tower, your cell phone does not work. So be mindful, keep your cell phones charged up, ready to go, but don't depend on that as your only line of communication in an emergency. Family emergency and contact information. A lot of times, you know, I know what my son's name and number is. I don't need to write it down for anybody, but you'd be surprised when the adrenaline's pumping and you're in an emergency situation, you're going to forget things. And when you forget things, it's going to get frustrating. You're going to get frustrated. The person who's providing care is going to get frustrated. So it's easier if we just go ahead and make sure that we have that kind of information with us. Okay? Any questions on that? Extra cash. Why would you carry extra cash? Who even carries cash anymore? I mean, really. But at the end of the day, think about it. The ITM up here went down, what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Didn't that feel bad you couldn't get money out? Think about during a natural disaster. You're not going to be able to go to anywhere. Banks are going to be closed. If you're you're not going to be able to swipe that card because phone lines are going to be down. Have you some cash on hand? You know, for emergencies, for medical supplies, for food, you know, the basic necessities. That is the recommendation. How much to have on hand? It's entirely up to you. You know, as the way it should be. An emergency blanket. You might think that that's a little, you know, just fundamental, have a blanket, but you would be surprised if you have a blanket that it's going to give you warmth, it's going to give you security, and it's going to give you protection from the elements. So pick a good blanket. Don't make it your grandson's old blanket he used to have in his baby bed. invest in a good blanket. You can get them relatively cheap. And if you really want to get down to it, and I imagine Mr. Kennedy here has probably seen one of these before, we take them hunting with us. They're small little space blankets, about 4x4. And when you unwrap them, a 6'6" man can get inside of it and wrap up. And it keeps you warm. I keep one in the glove compartment of my car all the time. So, those are different things that you can look at. Maps of the area. Why would you need, when's the last time somebody's seen a map? I mean, really? Mr. Kennedy's raising his hand. I couldn't tell you the last time I seen an honest-to-goodness map, because what do we all use for directions? Cell phone. Again, it goes back to, if the cell phones are down, are you going to be able to find your way? Are you going to be able to, go where you need to go? Maps can be gotten through AAA. They can be gotten at gas stations, things like that. And maps change continuously. All the roads around here, 73's only been with us, 5-10 years now. It wasn't there before, so it's not on older maps. So if you haven't had a map in the last 5 years, I would update it and get a map of the local area so you can traverse and go where you need to go. Consider the needs of all family members as supplies to your kit. Medical supplies. Hearing aid batteries. That's a big one. Exactly. Miss Faye is over here going, huh? What'd you say? So, that's a biggie. Hearing aid batteries, it'll allow you to know what's going on around you. It'll allow you to be able to communicate with folks better and easier. So definitely try to keep some of those on hand. And also your glasses and contact lenses. If you've got an older pair of glasses that your prescription just changed just a little bit on, and you're getting ready to throw them away or something, put them in your emergency supply kit, because it's better to have those than anything else at all. Pet supplies. There's one thing that a lot of people don't think of is their pets when you have it. They've got to eat too. And so definitely try to keep some pet supplies on hand. And also a collar, leash, an ID form, a carrier, and a bowl. A carrier is something you wouldn't think about for an emergency, but a lot of evacuation shelters and things, unless you have a carrier or a crate for your animal, will not allow that animal into the emergency facility. So it's up to them what they do. There's nothing we can do about that. So make sure you've got a crate or something with them. And, always have a leash. You're not going to be able to let the doggy run around, or your kitten for that matter. So go for that. Extra set of car keys. One of the biggest things lost in a natural disaster is house keys and car keys. Your house key, most of the time, if you're in the building, are one of these, and we've got extra sets of keys we can get you in. But your car, I can't get you in your car. Can't get you down the road in your car. So you don't want to go back into a structure that's been damaged by a natural disaster or something like that, trying to find those car keys. Manual can opener. When's the last time somebody's seen one of those? A manual can opener is definite necessity when you go back to your non-perishable food items. If you got a can of pork and beans, but you can't get into it, what good is it? It ain't. So, you can get anything from the dollar store has those lungy little twists. Military supply stores got the old M5s that I think that's what the nomenclature was. You can go around with them and just open them up really good. So have one of those on hand. Have something like that on hand. Additional supplies to keep in your home or your survival kit based on types of disasters in your common area. A whistle. Why would you need a whistle? Ms. Faye, why would you need a whistle? Exactly. Exactly. I might not be able to hear your voice, but I can hear that whistle. And that's really being able to locate you. Hey, does anybody know what that is? An N95 mask. I think we're all used to that by now. And this is really funny. 4 years ago when I did this speech first time, people asked me what an N95 mask was. I guarantee everybody knows what one is now. And the reason not only for COVID, but during natural disasters, you're going to have dust, debris, you're going to have asbestos, you're going to have all kinds of stuff floating in the air from buildings that have been knocked down or something in nature. So this will help you breathe a lot easier. Rain gear. Rain gear is very important. You got to stay dry to stay healthy. And if we're having an outside event where you can't go back into your house or shelter, you need something to try to keep you warm and dry. Towels, obvious, to dry off with, to keep yourself dry, keep you from, having any illnesses. Extra clothing, hat, and sturdy shoes. Okay, ladies, this is where I get to pick on y'all a little bit, okay? Sturdy shoes are not open-toed sandals. Sturdy shoes are something that gives you good support, that if you're walking across rock or debris, it's not going to hurt your feet. Okay, so be thinking about that. And you know, this is very important. You know, your feet come in contact with everything, and you know, if you cut your foot and you get an infection from that, it could be really dangerous. So be mindful of that. A hat to keep the sun off your face, keep you from getting sunburnt or windburnt. And extra clothing. You know, there's a company that sells a laundry detergent called Tide. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that or not, but I have seen their disaster response vehicle. It's really neat. They come in and they do laundry on site. And if you've got something to change into while they're doing your laundry or while somebody else is helping you with laundry, it'll keep you with good, clean clothes on. So be mindful to have at least one set of extra clothes with you. Entertainment items. Why is that important? Do what? She said, keep your mind occupied. That's correct. I mean, you know, we've still got to live no matter what we're doing, no matter what type of disaster is going on. You know, sometimes it's good to take a diversion in your brain. Just kind of play a game of solitaire or play a game of, what's that game everybody here likes to play? Bridge? You know, you never know. You might be able to do that. So that's something you do. But make sure there's something that's self-contained, like a deck of cards or a small box game, like you don't want to bring out a Monopoly or something like that. But maybe, maybe Chutes and Ladders or something like that. I've got a 12-year-old. I can't think of anything else. You know, Scrabble, that type of thing. Something to keep your mind occupied. We go back to blankets and sleeping bags. You know, there may be a time that we're not able to house and have enough linen and everything for everybody. You know, if you've got your own sleeping bag and your own blanket, to me, that's very important to me, being able to have my own personal gear. So think about that as you're packing for survival. All right, now, any questions on that? Yes, ma'am. What we suggest, you go buy a tractor and trailer and park it in your yard. No, what we suggest is that you actually buy a tote or something of that nature. Most of this stuff, I used to have one put together, and I didn't do it this time, but everything that they just had requested there, I had in a Rubbermaid tote that was about this big, about that wide, about 2 foot high, and it all fit in there. So it's, except for the water and the food, that was the only two things that didn't fit in there. They stacked on top of it, so worked out pretty good. Any other questions? I have to get me a little drink of water here. Okay, let's talk about campus safety for a minute. This is something that's really important to me right now. As you know, we're opening back up more and more every day. More and more people are coming on our campus. And one of the things that we need to talk about is pedestrian safety. Okay, we have sidewalks pretty much on most of the campus. There's a couple of places that we don't. Remember, pedestrian has the right of way. Watch for them when you're driving. But as pedestrians, wear some clothing that can be seen. I came in here about 5:30 one morning a few weeks back, and there was a person walking who had on a black coat and dark blue. You know who I'm talking about. You shaking your head over there. And I almost did not see them. And I'm driving 18 miles an hour, the speed limit, and I come up on them really quick. And they were actually in the roadway because they were in an area that did not have a walkway. So if you're going to be outside walking, make sure you're highly visible. Wear light-colored clothing. You know, I had a couple of years ago, I had a young lady ask me where could she get the reflective vest like we wear for traffic direction and stuff so she could walk. I can help you out with that. If somebody needs to know where to get those at, we can help you out to show you where to go get those. That type of thing. Pedestrians, when you're walking, be aware of your surroundings. Not only for cars, golf carts, but other animals, dogs. You know, we're in the country, guys. You know, you can have raccoons, you can have foxes, you can have dogs, you can have anything running around out here. So be safe when you're being a pedestrian. Okay, any questions on that? Golf carts. Okay, how many of us drive a golf cart all the time? Okay, When you're going down the road in a golf cart, what's one of the biggest things you like to do? Stick that left leg out as you're going down the road. Get that breeze going, okay? That's a no-no. That's a big safety hazard right there. We had an employee a few years ago that got his foot broken by getting it caught between a curb and the golf cart, and it was not a pretty sight. So, be mindful of that. Be mindful of where you're driving your golf carts. There's these big signs at intersections that says STOP. That does mean stop, and that means for golf carts also. Had a meeting with a resident yesterday who lives in an area where it's frequent with cars and golf carts, and we talked to these folks, and we made a commitment to them that we're going to try to up our signage a little bit, make it a little bit more brighter, do some pedestrian crosswalks and things of that nature. But safety starts with the person behind the wheel of that golf cart or that car, okay? Stop at the stop signs, please, okay? It is a requirement while you're on property. We have to talk to our employees and our residents about this. I'm the world's famous for forgetting because I drive a car every day. When I hop in the golf cart, I almost forget to stop. I'll be perfectly honest with you, but I do stop. So, I ask you to do the same thing. Be mindful of that as you're going. Automobile safety. What's the biggest problem with automobiles on this campus? Parking? Well, speed. I think Ms. Faye's been to this class before. Speed is definitely something big for us. The speed limit here on campus is 18 miles an hour. Should not be going any more. Okay, you can go less, but don't go any more. And I know it's tough coming down John Knox Drive where that hill is right there at Wingfoot. It's hard to keep it at 18 miles an hour, especially like Patrick and I, we drive larger size vehicles. I understand that, but we have to keep it at 18 miles an hour because we're watching out for our pedestrians, okay? That's what we've really got to be watching out for. I had a young lady say to me yesterday, that we came here to be safe and we came here to be able to be out in our yards and walk the campus, but cars going by now, it's like a speed course out here. Well, I sat there and watched them, but as long as I'm sitting there watching them in my vehicle or in my golf cart, they're slowing down. But I know it happens when we're not around. So if you see one of your fellow residents who doesn't remember the speed limit, nicely remind them what the speed limit is, if you would, because we're all a part of safety here. It's not just Homer. It's not just my team. It's everybody, residents, staff, everybody. We need to help each other remember, keep it slow, and make sure everybody's safe, okay? Speed limit's 18 miles an hour. We just talked about that. So any questions on that from anybody? Any questions on anything? Comments? Well, those of you who are in 1390 land, I thank you for tuning in today. This has been my first presentation like this on 1390, and it's been very good. I look forward to hearing some of your comments. You can always email me or you can call me and leave a voicemail if I'm not here, and we will try to answer those the best we can. I thank you for your time today, and I hope everybody has a blessed day. Thank you. Thank y'all. We are clear.